All right, so the lack of financial education cost Americans $450 billion last year. 79% of Americans right now are living paycheck to paycheck, and most American households are equity rich and cash poor. That's another word for broke. It's a horrible place to be in right now in today's market. So until these statistics change, I'm going to be here every single week giving you information that'll help you come out the other side of home ownership in a better financial position, because you have to understand this. The media is not going to help you. The government's not going to help you. And schools are not teaching this stuff, so it's up to us. So welcome back to another episode of the Happy Homeowner Podcast. My name is Dan Keller, and I have an incredible guest today. Dave, and I want to make sure I say this right, my friend, Dave Piedrahita.
Very good, very good.
Okay, perfect. Stud real estate agent with Keller Williams, no relationship to Dan Keller, by the way. On the Eastside, Keller Williams Eastside, right?
That's right.
Right on. Thanks for being here, man.
Thank you for having me.
So I met Dave a few months ago, and one of the things that I learned quickly about Dave is how much we have in common. You know, background in fitness. I got a background in fitness, background in athletics.
Yeah.
A little bit different. You're rugby?
Rugby 20 years, yeah. Still walking upright.
Yeah, a little different than baseball. But you have to understand this, and I think this is important if you're listening. In order to be in fitness and to be a fitness trainer, a strength and conditioning coach at a super high level, to be a nurse, to be a physician, to be a teacher, you have to love serving. You have to love people. You have to love helping people. So there's no surprise that you are a successful real estate agent, because I think I don't like cheesy slogans, and I know you don't advertise this, but you've said this to me a couple of times, and I want to make sure I get this thing right. I think I wrote this down. But your business is all about people and relationships, not houses and transactions, and I love that.
That's right, yeah.
I love that. And so you're going to tell us more about what that means, but I think you as a listener and a viewer, you're going to understand what this means as you listen to the data that he shares, because I guarantee, much like me, wherever we go, oh, you're in mortgage finance. Hey, how's the market? Oh, you're in real estate. How's the market? So what Dave is going to do today, we do this every single month. We do a month in review. So what is today? August 16th. We're reviewing July's numbers, and then we're going to bring you current on where the market's at. And I'm a mortgage professional, so I don't get to study this info, so I get to lean on guys like you to help keep me abreast on what the market's actually doing. And I think it's super important for you guys to understand every single month. Don't listen to the media. Don't listen to the news. Listen, the news is all about getting clicks and views, okay? You and I are all about people and relationships and educating. So you're going to have a lot of information here today to digest. We've broken it down into 4 quadrants, super easy, about 10 minutes. So bear with us today. So the first thing we want to talk about, we talk about this every single month. Yeah. So let's talk about months worth of inventory right now. I'll let you talk about July, and then I'm going to kind of go back and bring a recap of what we learned from June.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, I think just to explain to those of you out there that don't understand months of inventory, it's a metric we use to really gauge kind of what market it is that we're in. Mm-hmm. And what months of inventory means is if no new homes were put on the market after today, how long would it take to sell off the remaining inventory? Yep. And, you know, that comes up with a period of time. So, you know, in our greater Seattle area market, 0 to 4 months of inventory is a seller's market. Okay. 4 to 6 months of inventory is a balanced market. Okay. And anything over 6 months is a buyer's market. So with that in mind, July 2022, we had 2 months of inventory, which is surprising to a lot of people because they're like, oh, there's all this new inventory on the market. Yeah. And it's great. And yeah, there's a lot more, but compared to what? Yeah. And through 2020 and 2021, we saw those numbers get lower than they've ever been.
Oh, yeah.
And
like 10 days, right? I remember seeing.
It wasn't months of inventory.
No, it was like days.
It was days. Yeah. It was weeks.
Yeah. Which is just not real. It's not sustainable. It's just the period that the cycle that we were going through. Yeah.
Homes are coming off the market faster than they were coming on. Yeah. And so 2 months of inventory is still really, really low. And, you know, the Seattle area continues to have an inventory issue. New construction is behind. Yep. And I've heard you talk about that on some of your other podcasts. So, Another thing, another number to throw out there, if we go back to 2008, at the start of the Great Recession, it was knocking on the door of 13 months for several months there. Yep. So it gives you a little bit of an idea of
Well, it gives you perspective, too. And the media right now is spending a lot of time talking about recession, collapse, housing collapse, bubble. You have to understand the reason why we bring you this information is so you understand that, a recession is not a bad thing. How many of you guys love inflation right now and paying 30, 40, 50% more than a product is actually worth, or higher gas prices and higher home prices and higher mortgage rates? No one. All the hands go down. So really what I tell people is the opposite of inflation is recession. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the market's going through inflation right now. They're going to make the cost of buying things higher, so Americans stop spending so much, which potentially could put us into a recession. A recession just means we're pulling back, receding, kind of like my hairline, in regards to how much money we spend. So when we do get into a recession, the government wants to speed up spending again, so they'll make stuff cheap again, which is good for real estate, which is good for mortgages. So you have to understand recession's an opportunity. Recession's not a bad thing. Recession is not 2008. And I think right now with the media and the news, they're trying to connect 2022 to 2006 and 2007, and they're failing miserably because the data just doesn't support that. So you were saying 13 to 14 months consistent worth of inventory, and we're at 2. So again, right now we're at 2. Next month we're going to come back to you and talk with you about that. So last month in June, it was like a little over a month. Okay, so this is all good. There's nothing wrong with what's going on right now. Yeah. Now, this is going to bring me to a kind of almost a follow-up question. But when we talk about months of inventory, we also got to talk about days on market, because this is more of the days on market is more of like in the trenches statistics. So we talk about this every single month. Let's talk about total days on market. So you're a seller, you list your house. How many days can you expect that house to sell in today's market?
So I pulled the numbers yesterday for King County, and we are averaging 40 days on market. Okay. I pulled the numbers for Snohomish County, and it was 39. So pretty much the same.
So that's current. That's right now in August.
That's current as of yesterday.
Okay. Cool.
Now, we can go back to last year, year before, and we were seeing 2 to 5. It was pretty normal. But again, that's not a real market. That's not the market that we're used to.
Yeah. So I think July was about 34. June was about 17. May was about 10. So we are seeing homes taking a little bit longer to sell. So I have my answer to why I think this is happening. More listings on the market. What is your answer to that? Why are we seeing it take 40 days for a house to sell versus 20?
So there is more selection out there. And I think also, going back to, and I want to say this because there's probably people watching right now going, well, based on what you said, 2 months of inventory, you're saying we're in a seller's market, and but we're hearing about price reductions and this and that. So if you don't mind, we're a little bit of both. We're a little bit of a seller's. We're statistically in a seller's market if we purely looked at the numbers, but we have to look at some of the emotional impact that we're seeing affect both buyers and sellers right now. And for some of the reasons that you've already mentioned. So, we have this big buyer pool. And whenever there's a big change, and we just had a change in the market, there's a good chunk of people that kind of take a step back and freeze for a minute, see what's going on. So we've had a chunk of people do that. And for a lot of reasons, we have inflation, recession looming, the media spreading fear, what are interest rates going to do? And so there's a lot of people that are just kind of holding back and waiting. And then we have some people in that buyer pool that maybe got priced out affordability-wise when rates went up. So, these things have that buyer pool being kind of temporarily shrunk, but also sellers are kind of panicking right now beyond what they really need to be. They're like, I've missed the boat, we missed the peak, and, the news said,
FOMO.
we got another crash, and so we gotta sell this house and get it off the market as fast as we can. And buyers are making good on that, and they're getting some really good deals out there.
I love what you said earlier, that today's buyers they're sitting quietly on the sidelines right now because of consumer confidence, because of inflation, because of the media, because of rising interest rates.
Yeah.
And they're patiently sitting on the sidelines, quietly waiting to make a move. Now, I'm going to piggyback on top of that and say that I think today's home buyers, are the most intelligent home buyers that this market's ever seen. One, they have access to the internet. Number two, exactly what you just said. They're watching Redfin. They're watching Zillow. They're watching stats. They're talking to professionals like you, and they're seeing days on market increasing. They're seeing, we're going to talk about this next, homes selling for X percentage of list price. It's less than list price now. And then they're coming out of the emotional side of this, where they just witnessed their friends and family members and coworkers having to pay $150,000 to $200,000 more for a house or over listing over the last 2 years. And they're like, I don't want nothing to do with that, but I do like the interest rate that they got, right? They got a 3 to 3.5% 30-year fixed, but they had to pay $100,000 or $200,000 over list price. So now they're going, oh my gosh. They're watching this, but then you've got that consumer confidence part of it, right. That issue. I think it's an issue. I don't think there is any reason why you should be less confident in today's market. I think you should be more confident in today's market than a year ago. Because I can tell you as a mortgage professional, I did not like seeing my clients pay $100,000 to $150,000 to $200,000 to $250,000 over list price for a house. I mean, yeah, it was my job to originate the mortgage and to fund the mortgage. But the whole whatever it takes mentality to get into the house, I did not like that. There was no options, and it was do whatever it takes to get the house, like they were going out of style. Now home buyers have options.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have a couple to choose from, or they can say, hey, I'm going to hold tight. I'm going to be a little bit more picky because I am sitting on the sidelines. I'm watching this data. This data makes sense. Then I'm going to have some more options maybe coming up. So speaking of options too, I love you brought some really good statistics, and we're going to pull it up on the screen. Yeah. But I love the fact that you showed me something before we jumped online today about the amount of homes coming on the market, the amount of pendings, you call them pendeds, and solds. Let's go over that piece of data, and then I want to close with a 2019 versus 2022 comparison. Okay, and before I drop the hammer on that, because I got something really big to say on that. Let's go over some of these numbers, and I think you need to pay attention because these numbers right now are very, very important to understand.
Yeah, so I do a lot of research on a site called Trend Graphics, and that pulls data, from, I can pull it from any county, from a city, from a zip code, but for purposes of this here, I did it for King County.
And here's why he does this. Listen, so when Dave and I are out in public, when I'm in public, I was on the airplane last night flying home from California, and sitting next to the person sitting next to me was like, hey, what do you do for a living? And I said, I'm in mortgage finance. Oh my gosh, how's the market? You probably get this 100 times a week as a real estate agent. You're at Starbucks, or you meet a new client, and they, you work at Keller Williams, you're a real estate agent. Oh my gosh, how's the market? So this is how he answers that question, and it's so important that it's not an emotional response. It's not an off-the-cuff response. This is an educated response, a professional response with data.
Yeah, so I like to bring them numbers. I like to bring them what is happening in the market today, and then I like to look at trends going back, because if you look back year over year over year and go back 15 years, the trends stay very, very similar. Okay. And the numbers will change, but the trends will not. And even through 2008 and to 12, the trends stayed the same. So it gives us, we can't tell the future, but we can have a little bit of an idea of what might be coming around the corner. So you're looking at this graph on screen, and this is looking at 4 key metrics, and you got the line here that is new listings, and that's how many listings are coming onto the market in that month. You have pended, and pended means homes that are going under contract in that given month. And then you also have for sale, and for sale means at the end of that month, that's how many active homes there were on the market. And then lastly, you have solds. And solds are homes that closed in that month. So these are broken up into 2 groups. There's leading indicators and lagging indicators, and I'll quickly cover that. New listings and pendeds, those are leading indicators. That's telling us what's happening right now.
Yep.
And with the for sales and the solds, that's a bit of a lagging indicator, because that sold could have gone under contract the month before, and maybe it went on the market 2 months before that.
Correct. Yep.
So I really like to follow the new listings and the pendants and see what they're doing.
Yep.
And if you look here, we climbed from a very low point in December.
Yep.
And all the way up to a peak in June of, just under 4,000 new listings. Mm-hmm. And then we took a turn down in July. And then when I look at that, I quickly look back to the year prior. And if you look back to June, it peaked, made the turn. We are generally going to see it make its way down to its lowest point in December before it turns the corner and starts going back up.
Which is every single year.
Every single year.
Real estate is seasonal.
Yeah.
People need to understand this. Real estate is seasonal and real estate is cyclical. We're going through a cycle right now. Mm-hmm. Cycles every 7 to 10 years, but seasons happen, 4 times a year? 2, 3, 4 times a year in real estate. So
that's right.
It's important to understand that, to not take the emotional and the media aspect out of this and focus on the data, not the drama.
And and if you're looking at last year compared to this year on this graph, you've noticed one thing, and that's that pended line, that was hugging that new listing line pretty tight, through the first half. I mean, it was May of 21 all the way up to March of this year is when it started to split. And that's telling you that houses are coming off the market almost as fast as they're coming on. Yep. And in a couple instances, you see the lines cross. I always think of Ghostbusters, by the way. Don't cross the streams. That means homes are coming off the market faster than they're going on. And that's where you start to see these low numbers from November through March, where they were under 1,000 for sale active homes. And we've never seen that number get under 1,000 until this last year. So that's where we're talking about. We had that extremely low inventory, and that is bumping back up now. And I know we're talking about June and looking at June and July here, but I also, have some of the numbers up through halfway into August, and that new listing line is still coming down about 28%, and pendings actually are up 30%. So the lines are coming
back together. Okay, so this is crucial. This is really important right now that you stop and you understand this, because one, it's proving again, what the media is going to tell you is it's bad, but this is proving is that this is seasonal. At the August of every year, we have less homes that come on the market. And of course, we're having more pendings because there's a lot of buyers out there. There's buyer demand out there. So that's good. Media, King 5 News, Cairo, get a hold of this and publish this information. The other thing is so important to understand right now. The chart that I'm looking at in front of me, because you printed off one from 2019, it almost mirrors what we're going through right now.
Yeah.
June, July, and August of 2019, June, July, and August of 2022. So rewind back to 2019. 2019, oh, wait, that was the year prior to COVID, right? Where things were normal and there wasn't all this hype and drama in the media about everything, okay? The markets were fine. I was having great years in mortgage. You're having great years in real estate in 2019. I think for the first time in a long time, financial planners talk a lot about taking the emotions out of investing, because if you watch the stock market every single day and you watch your portfolio go up and down every single day, you're going to freak out. And I think what's happened right now is that the media, and I think people and the amount of the access to information, they're getting emotionally involved with the markets, with housing. And you can't do that. It'll drive you nuts. So I always go back to the basics. Does the house meet your budget criteria? Does it meet your family criteria? Does it meet your kind of your life goals criteria for the moment? If it does, buy the house. You can't lose in real estate. You're not going to lose in real estate, especially if you hold on to it for 3 to 5 years. So it's important for you to understand this data. It's important for you to understand what Dave's been talking about today. I think the last thing that I want to hit home with, and I mentioned this a second ago about how close this is to 2019, eliminate the last 2 years because that wasn't sustainable. 2019, homes still went up in value. 2018, homes still went up in value. Homes didn't sell for $100,000 over ask price, okay? So I think it's important to understand all of this stuff. We're in a very healthy market. I believe we're in the interest rates are coming back down into the low to mid 5s. which is great. Interest rates in 2019 were in the mid-4s, so we're not too far off from that. Other than that, live your life. Enjoy life. We get one shot at this thing, right? Worrying and speculating about a market that's going to be healthy, that's going to be sustainable. We have a lot of people that want to buy here in the Seattle area. We're running out of land to build on. Builders are behind. Anything I'm missing here on this whole real estate thing?
I think home values right now are just trying to find their new baseline.
Yep.
And, I feel that baseline is, we got to kind of turn the clock back to late 2021.
Okay.
And fall in line with where the values were there.
Okay.
And that's, I think, where we'll start moving forward.
Cool.
Right now, we have too many people trying to, just hold on to that last bit of the 2021, 2020, beginning of 2022 market. And it just, that market, 3 months ago might as well have been 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And, there's good opportunity for sellers and buyers. I mean, how many sellers in the last 2 years said, I could sell my house super easy, but I couldn't find anything.
Yep.
So I'm not going to sell.
Yeah.
So for the move up buyer, the downsizer, even the lateral move, now's a great opportunity.
Yeah. I love it, man. Great episode. Great information, Dave. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dan,
for your time. Little plug for Dave. Like I said, I fell in love with the idea that Dave is all about people and relationships, not houses and transactions. You prove that in how you operate your business and how you take great care of your clients. If you want to reach out to Dave, you have any questions on real estate for Dave, his information's on the screen. It's down below if you're watching this on YouTube in the descriptions. Again, my goal with this podcast is to help you come out the other side of homeownership. Whether you're just thinking about getting into homeownership and buying a home, or you're currently a homeowner, to help you come out the other side of homeownership in a better financial position as a result of our relationship. So I hope today helped. I'll be right back here next week with some more information. I hope you enjoyed this. Bye for now.